Balanced Growth Show live. I'm your host, Dr. Travis Perry. Thank you for joining me. And today we are going to be discussing a concept that we've been able to uncover here at the Make Time Institute because we've interviewed over 500 business owners and discussed with them what we've coined as the balanced growth method. So, in partnership with my assistant, who literally just yesterday we did a whiteboard session, we found that there's so much pattern, detailed, oriented outcomes from all of these interviews that we've been doing for our next book, The Balanced Growth. We call it the Balanced Growth Method because this is what we've done to help organically grow and scale our own coaching and speaking business. And now that we're helping others do it, it's really interesting to hear their replies, their concepts, their frustrations, their concerns, their challenges. And as we whiteboarded out some of these responses, we found actually there are really three types of what we call balanced developers. So the first type is one who has his or her own business and is really they're scared to grow further. They may be at a spot where they're somewhat comfortable, or at least they're comfortable in the fact that they don't want to grow any further. Internally they do, like subconsciously they do, but they're not sure how or if they can grow without losing their balance. I've done a number of these webinars this year where we've been discussing this concept of how to grow and scale without losing your balance, because I wanted to actually hit this main point. But the balance developer number two is that person who's scared to have a balance. So thinking that he or she has to have some kind of, trim back on time and energy and resources in order to get balance, and that it'll maybe detract from his or her growth in the business. Now, each of these two first types of what are called balanced developers are coming from a deficit mindset. They're not thinking that I can have both. They're thinking I can only have one or the other, which poses some great problems. There are definitely some limiting blocks and belief systems that are happening here. And I want to uncover the first one. The first one is, scared to grow. Maybe I'll lose my balance. So you've done a great job of scheduling, time blocking. You've got boundaries. You've got all these things built in. But unfortunately, that is actually keeping you, in some respect, from growing. Well, one of the issues that I find is if individuals are in their sweet spot, if they're working in the areas that they most likely can do the best work and is their highest value, which we have a whole process in my book, Achieving Balance, that identifies that and takes you through that process. Definitely look at that. Definitely work at that. But if you're not in your sweet spot, it's likely you don't have time to grow. So you're thinking in your mind, in order to grow, I'm going to have to put in extra time. I'm going to have to do the 90-hour work week that I don't want, that I've been pushing against. Trust me, I've been there. I've been a scared to grow, lose my balance type of balanced developer. Balanced developer type 1 right now is what we're calling it. And really, there's nothing further than the truth. If you're in your sweet spot and you know that priority now is to grow the business, then that needs to be one of your highest priorities. Something else needs to give. Something else needs to fall down to a lower priority area. It's really just a reorganization of those priorities. It's not adding extra time. And with our balanced growth method that we've identified and outlined in our webinars and in our next book, actually, it takes less time to do this if you're doing it right, organically, and then automating it over time. So there's absolutely a myth that we need to destroy here. The myth of you have to lose your balance in order to grow. We've done this for the last 2.5 years. We've literally doubled sales every single year. I've only put in 25 hours each week on average, taking 12 to 16 weeks of vacation off every single year and loving it. So that said, are you going to need to delegate? Are you need to build a team? Are you need to hire virtually and in person? Yeah, you're going to need some of that. I'm going to get to that in a second. So number two, those who are scared to have balance and think that that will detract from their growth. Now, I talk about this a little bit in achieving balance. Those who kind of get sucked into this workaholic trap where they think, I've got to hustle, I've got to sacrifice everything. I see posts literally every day. The reason why I'm so successful is I've sacrificed everything to get here. And the reality is, if they sacrifice their health, their relationships, their relationship with God, all those things that they really do hold dear in their life subconsciously, it's going to create more stress, more problems. The quality of life is just not going to be what they want it to be. So that is a big concern, because that will spiral one into the workaholic trap, and if anything, become a workaholic, maybe a productive workaholic, but a workaholic nonetheless. And we destroy that myth. There are three main myths in the Achieving Balance book that we destroy, that you can grow your business and have balance. And in fact, having them both leads us to type 3, which is a balanced developer. Now, this individual realizes that actually the more growth they were able to have as the business, the more balance we're able to have. I've interviewed some incredible individuals, some that stand out more than others, who have great big teams, and quite honestly, their teams don't want them there anymore because they're so used to operating without them that really they're just there as the rainmaker or as the owner, the CEO. Bill Keene comes to mind. I'm going to shout out to Bill. Bill is a fantastic financial advisor, planner who's been able to build a team and grow. He uses books, he uses marketing. He's built this from ground up, and now he's been able to outsource and hire others to create teams that enable him to really live his most purposeful life. Now, how do you do this? Well, I believe in this teamwork, this team effort, that you need to have an offense and a defense. I don't care what sport that you grew up playing or that you watch or you never watched or never played. You know there's sports out there, and pardon the sports analogy, but a team is so much better than a militaristic type of style of executive officer down to assistant whatever. Like we're looking at teams, and the culture of teams is huge. So what I have found is you need to have a great offense, great defense, and a great culture of balance. So number one, what's your offense? Well, if you're a balanced developer, what we found is you have a consistent sales and marketing operation. You know what your sales are going to be. You can track those. You know where your marketing is working. And quite honestly, this is where a lot of our clients who have a great thing, they have something that they can fulfill, whether that's financial advising, coaching, mortgage. It doesn't matter the service for your clients, that when it's there and it's working well and you're fulfilling on that, fantastic. But getting the word out, quite honestly, is one of the most difficult challenges. So having the marketing capability to be able to use, for example, a book, or podcast, live shows like this, events, that's exactly what we do in these webinars. We talk about how you can increase organic eyeballs on these types of marketing. Secondly is the defense. Now that you have a steady flow of clients, what are you doing to fulfill with those clients? Are you having transformation with your client? Is that client experiencing not just a nice, fuzzy, good service, but an actual transformation? If they're experiencing transformation from A to B, from night to day, health comes to mind all the time. Like, I dropped 50 pounds. And one of our clients in 3 months, because he finally made time for it, dropped 50 pounds. That is a transformation. He's been wanting to do that for years and years and years, just never made time for it. Now he did. So what is your transformation? How do you provide this to your clients? And then operations. So on the defensive side, fulfillment and operations. Who's operating all the contracts? Who's helping HR? Who's doing payroll? Who's doing all the things? Website operation, all the back end. So if you have a great offensive team, you're going to need a fantastic defensive team to take in the clientele. Third, the culture of balance. Now, if you're out taking vacations, you're not working as much and your team notices, obviously they're gonna notice, right? Unless you're 100% virtual, and even then, they'll notice you're not answering emails or whatnot. Um, there's this whole debacle of, well, I'm working so hard to send this guy on vacation. I remember when I felt that resentment because one of my very first jobs in college, outside of my family business, was working for a State Farm agent who I helped send him to Hawaii on his dream vacation because I was his top sales guy and I was working really hard. And reality was we had a deal. We had a deal that if I hit my goals, that every Friday he'd give me off for a month. Well, after the second Friday, paid Fridays off, he said, nah, I renege. I want you back in. The culture and trust of balance that we had built based on where I had hit to help him get to his goal, and then not him and allowing me to go out and reach my goals and have time for myself was absolutely hypocritical. And that destroyed our relationship. And I found a better job. And I began my, path as uh, an independent financial advisor and hung my own shingle. So that culture of balance, if it's not there, you will lose people. You will lose talent that wants to see you enjoy life, but they want to enjoy life too. So if you're requiring them to work 90 hours and you're working 20, there's a hypocritical stance here, and you need to have that balance. On the flip side, if your team is not productive and energized and working, it's likely because their values aren't lining up with the values of the company. They don't see the vision. And if they're not caught up in the vision and their goals don't match with the vision and goals of the company, you're going to lose them anyway, or you've already lost them. They're just unproductive parts of the team, whether they're offense or defense. They're now unproductive parts. And you need to change that. You need to help them understand what are their values and goals and how does that align with the company's values and goals. And that the entire team, everyone, is working on the same type of productivity and balance system. If one is working on their own, they have their own system and they've got, I don't know, to-do lists and tags and other things. And another, is working on a complex, time management system, software, etc. There's going to be some back and forth on this. There's going to be some push and pull, and quite honestly, there's going to be some contention from teammate to teammate, and maybe even from offense to defense, right? Well, the salespeople, they always get time off, they always get paid vacations, and da 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 da. And the operations and fulfillment, maybe they're not being incentivized the same way, or they don't have the same structure. Unless there's true transparency and communication between departments and between team sides, offense or defense, and even between those on your side of the team, there may be some major obstacles. So I highly, highly recommend that you get your team, all of your team, on the same type of time management and balance plan. Doesn't mean that everybody has to work the same hours. I'm a fan of the 4-day work week, and that's fine. So, Fridays are optional here. I have some of my team that work it still because they like it. But for the most part, it's a 4-day work week. Now, that said, as you're working with your virtual or in-person team members, they need to understand, again, that they can all work together and when they can reach each other. So you don't have a team member at 2 a.m., trying to reach somebody in sales and they're in fulfillment going, hey, I need to get this contract filled by tomorrow morning, blah, blah, blah. And they're getting woken up at night from text messages or calls. Like that's flat out just irresponsible for you as the business owner. As a balanced developer, I found that those balanced developers who are working hard, they're scaling and growing their businesses, have a fantastic offense, defense, and culture of balance in their company. Those are some tips and some ideas and thoughts that we've been able to uncover with the research we've done with over 500 business owners. And actually, just the other day, we found out we've interviewed someone from every state in the United States. So this, may not be 100% reflective of the entire population that we're talking to, but we have discussed this with at least one person in every single state here in the United States. Very crazy and cool milestone that we'll definitely have in the book Balanced Growth. If you're interested in following this process, go to www.balancedgrowthbook.com. That's balanced with a D at the end, growthbook.com. Follow the process. We're June 22nd. We are launching the pre-order, and you'll be able to get that for free. So definitely follow us there. Love to hear your input, thoughts, ideas here on this show. Thank you for following me in the monologue today. What are you? Are you type 1? Are you scared to grow because you're going to lose your balance? You type 2, scared to have balance because it detracts from your growth? Or type 3, a balanced developer where you truly have both the balance and the growth of the company syncing together and moving forward in all directions of your life. If you are, love to hear your thoughts, maybe have you even on this show and an interview, but definitely like, share, subscribe. Love to hear from you guys as we move forward in this process and movement to create balanced growth throughout the culture of business. And we look forward to chatting with you next time. Till then, live life on purpose.